Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us from. Thank you for joining us today as we present today's Tech Talk on What's New in Project Operations 2025 Release Wave 2. My name is Satish Panwar, and I'll be moderating and presenting this session. We are broadcasting this session through Teams. This session is being recorded on behalf of Microsoft Corporation. When you join this event, your name and email address may be viewable by session organizers. By joining, you are agreeing to this experience. The recording will be made available in the Tech Talks dynamic community page within 5 to 7 business days. If you have questions or need support, please use the Q&A panel located on the right side of your screen. If you wish your name not to be visible to organizers or session participants, please post your questions anonymously. Our presenters will be responding to your questions throughout the session and in a live segment at the end of the presentation. Thank you for your patience during this announcement. With that, let's dive in. In terms of agenda, we will cover the what's new features in Dynamics 365 project operations. We would also cover use cases and demos where applicable. In the end, we will share resources as well. We will start with some of the enhancements we have done around time entry. The first one is time entry delegate. Project operations now support delegate functionality for time entries. We had some workarounds for this functionality, but based on customer request, we have now added this directly in the application. To set up the delegates, go to Projects area and under My Work, select Delegates. This form allows you to set up someone else as delegate for a period of time. For this duration, the delegate will be able to add the time entry. In this view, we can see that Angelo has set up Satish as delegate for the month of March. Once delegate is set up and a user is trying to enter time, an additional field, bookable resource, shows up at the top of the form. This field only shows up for weeks where there is delegate present, else the logged in resource is default bookable resource. To enter the time entry on behalf of the delegate, select it from the drop-down and then enter time as usual. If you're entering time for yourself, just select you as the bookable resource. Time entry, once saved, is available to the user in a different view. There are other views that we have enabled to view the time entry as a delegate. If you have delegated someone on your behalf, then we do have a view to see what time entries have been created by my delegates. And these views are available in the same dropdown. So you can change it from my weekly time entries to my time entries as delegate or time entries by my delegates. Another feature is time entry format for duration field. We have now added support for hours and minutes in the field from duration perspective. The time entry form now comes with a new duration, hour and minutes field that lets you enter a duration more flexibility. Any update to the duration field automatically populates duration, hours and minutes, and vice versa. This allows user to enter their time in hours and minutes rather than doing any calculations. So a user would be able to enter 1 hour and 20 minutes or 1 hour and 25 minutes, and then it will automatically calculate the duration and populate it with 1.33 for 1 hour and 20 minutes and so on. So users don't have to do any kind of calculations. Next area of improvement is approvals UI enhancements. The UI for approvals has been updated to live in a form with tabs for each type of approval record. Using this new UI, approvers can quickly see how many records of each type are pending their approval. This UI also uses the time phase grid for time approvals, but is customizable to users' preferences. Time approvals will be shown 1 week at a time with transactions grouped together based on columns added to the view in one row. PMs can then open a cell in that row to see more details for each day entries and make edits as necessary. Prior to this experience, every time entry was a single row. So in above example, instead of 3 rows, we would have 10 rows, each row representing the time that has been entered by the user. Let's do a quick review of the feature. So here, under projects, we can click on approvals. And now we can see that this entire new form exists. So previously we had a form wherein there were drop downs. So if user needs to approve time entries, they need to first select the view time entries for approval. Then they need to go and look at the material view, then the expense view. And often what would happen is if someone have, say for example, requested recalls and the approver doesn't go to that specific view to look at if that any record exists, they would miss out. So that would cause issues with respect to approvals and recalls and submission as well. Now what we've done is we have taken all the major categories and created them as tabs. So here we can see for time entries, right now there are a total of 23 records that are pending approval. Here, rather than showing this specific record as 5 separate rows, now we're just showing it as a single row. And it has been grouped by project, task, and the resource as well. Right? If user needs to, or the approver needs to modify, say for example, this from billing type non-available to chargeable, they can just click on this one. And then here they can just make the change from not available to chargeable. Now, if user needs to make all these 16 hours billable, so rather than clicking one by one, they can just click on 16 and it would just bring them to this form. Now here they can make changes. So if everything needs to be chargeable, non-chargeable, or if they need to be split, etc., that can be done here. Similarly, if there are any material that needs to get approved, they will be shown on the materials tab. Same for expenses. Recall request. So any kind of approvals that the end user have requested recalls for. Any kind of absences, vacation, non-project time entries would get displayed here as well. This concludes the feature review for redesigned approval form. We have made a couple of enhancements in budgeting as well. One of them is enabled improved project budgeting time phasing grid. This has been prioritized based on feedback we have received from our customers. Previously, the budget tab grid displayed budget lines in nested grid layout, which made the experience difficult to read and manage. Users have to make updates to different periods in a row by row basis. Editing a budget across hundreds of tasks for extended duration with a granularity or time phased of weekly would require usability enhancements, or users would run into issues while updating these budget lines. With the improved project budget time phase grid, budget line details are now displayed in a single row with budget periods distributed across the same row based on the configured budget periods. This provides a clear, more intuitive, and easy to analyze view of time-phased budgets. All existing budget actions and states are fully supported. The feature is available behind the Enable Improved Project Budgeting Time Phasing Grid feature flag. Here we can see that for 3 different weeks, we can just see the time that have been budgeted. So 24 hours, 40 hours, and 24 hours, right? The duration that you see on the screen, so 3/1 to 4/26, that can be controlled with the help of the calendar dropdown. Users have the option to select dimensions or groupings for the time phase. Above, we have selected quantity and amount. Let's see the impact of this change. Here, we can see that the time phase now includes not just the quantity, but the amount column as well, providing us good visibility into sales budget. Once budget has been approved, we can also update forecast amount and forecast quantity and review its impact. Another enhancements on budgeting is budget import strategy. For budget import, we have supported only one strategy so far, and that is merge with existing lines. We have now added additional strategy based on customer feedback. This enhancement would provide a flexibility to choose how source lines are merged with existing budget lines during project budget re-import. Users will have option to choose the re-import strategy. User can choose between merge with existing lines, re-import source lines. This helps preserve any manual entries users may have created. Another option is full reset. This removes all existing lines and then re-import the budget again. Another enhancements on budgeting is how budgets are matched to actuals. We have now added the flexibility of ignoring budget start and end date for about an year before and after project end date. This is allowed as a config on project level, project summary page. Here, there are 3 fields that have been added under budget section: ignore date constraints when matching budgets to actuals, and extend budget start before project start, and extend budget end after project end. Setting this field to yes on project summary page will allow the actuals to match to budget based on priority attributes, even if they are outside the budget line range. Next few enhancements we are going to talk about is around project creation and work breakdown structure. The first one is copy project functionality. We now support copy project functionality to new projects and existing projects with no WBS. Organizations can now choose the flow based on their needs. We have extended the functionality of copy project to externally scheduled project as well. Copy project functionality can be accessed from the project details page. In the upper pane, user can click on copy project button, which offer 2 options. Copy to existing project. This allows user to copy the current project to existing project where WBS does not exist. Another option is copy to new project. On click, this opens up a quick create form, allowing user to update certain configurations for the project, like project name. So in this case, we want to change it to UK. We can update project manager, calendar template, contracting unit. In this case, we want to use Contoso UK. Automatically it applies the currency, and for team members as well. Copy a generic resources. Click save and close. This will initiate the copy project, and the new project will be displayed. On top, user will see a message: copying task and related information is in progress for this project. During this time, any update to fields on the project will be lost. Once copy has been finished, the message will be removed from the top bar, and here we can see that it has already copied the tasks. Given that we have retained the project manager, the assignments for the project manager remains the same, but all other have been replaced by a generic resource. Now, also based on the contracting units, the cost prices have been updated and estimated labor cost is being displayed. This concludes the copy project functionality. Let's get into the new functionality, which is import project tasks. Let's do this with a quick review in the system.
As part of bringing standardization in project creation, many professional services organizations uses templates, and using them they pick and choose tasks and bring in their new projects or existing projects. This capability was not available in project operations before. The only way we could use something as a template was use copy project APIs and then copy that template to create a new project. The drawback was it always created a new project and it always copied the complete work breakdown structure without giving capabilities to the project manager to pick and choose tasks they want to bring in and update the project that they want to. With this feature named import tasks from projects, we are now filling that gap within project operations. When this feature is enabled, project managers can select a source project, select a task, and then bring it in the target project. Let's see how it works. So I have three projects here: brew system modernization, Contoso brew system modernization, and robotic brew system modernization. I want to bring in tasks in Contoso brew system modernization from different other projects. So once this task grid loads, you would see that task grid is empty. Now, to bring tasks, I would hit Import Tasks button. It would open up a form where I can select the project from where I want to bring in the tasks. So let's say I want to bring in tasks from Brew System Modernization. I selected Brew System Modernization and I said, okay, I want only refurbishing Contoso part in my new project. I selected the task. Since I selected the parent task, it automatically selected all the child tasks. So you can choose any tasks within this work breakdown structure and can bring in. So I selected this. I did add and close. Now you see that import task request has been taken. It would update the status. So once that happens, you see that now refurbishing Contoso stores task is now available in my project. Let's say I want to bring in tasks from another project. I do the same thing. I hit import task button. I select another project. Let's say robotic brew system modernizations new. Now I want to bring only training Contoso part from this project. I hit add and close. It would take the request and would append all those selected tasks at the end of the current work breakdown structure, which you see as now training Contoso engineering employees is now part of this import tasks. So that's how this feature works. So imagine you have some custom columns already defined in the project, which you also want to bring along with these tasks. So say on a similar lines that we have with copy project, that we have a copy project view where you fill up that these are the custom columns that we want. Similarly, we have a copy task view wherein you can say XYZ custom columns I want to bring in along with this tasks, and those columns would be brought in automatically. So that's how we have filled the gap of using templates in project operations and picking and choosing tasks from the templates and bringing in the project. And this capability can be used to bring tasks from any project. So you don't need to really define that a project is template or not. Any project that is existing in your system that you have access to can be used as a template project, and tasks can be brought from that project to the target project.
Next, we want to talk about enhancements that we have done over a time period on work breakdown structure. Within last few releases, we have made a lot of enhancements to work breakdown structure, including expanding collapsing of all tasks within WBS. Outline column existed earlier, but now is made visible on assignments grid tab. WBS baseline is supported. Effort remaining can be updated directly on the grid rather than going to assignments tab. Work breakdown structure now supports premium feature that includes 4 dependency types and 3 delay types. On Assignments tab, user can view the assignments in same order as WBS using outline number. Based on customers' feedback, we now support daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly buckets. Each of these buckets can be displayed up to 21 columns. That is, assignment summarization of up to 21 days until 21 years can be displayed on the form in one view. Let's do a quick review of these features in the system. Breakdown structure for the project can be accessed from the Tasks tab. Here we have multiple tabs. The Grid tab displays the work breakdown structure. We have added new functionality here that allow user to collapse all tasks just with the one click. User does have ability to expand this by clicking on the parent tasks, or they can click on expand all tasks and it would display all the tasks. Outline number field always existed behind the scenes. If you don't see it on the screen, you can just add it by scrolling to the right, clicking on add column, and then select outline number field. This holds the value, and it displays where the task is within the work breakdown structure. So here, if you look at it, we can see this follow-up and support iteration 1 is 3.3.1 and so on. If we take this task and move it somewhere else, then automatically the outline number will be adjusted. We now also support the baseline feature as well. So on this Grid tab, user can click on baseline and then click on create baseline, and this would just create a baseline for the work breakdown structure. We currently support one baseline. If baseline needs to be deleted, user can click on just delete baseline. If as the project progresses and user makes update to the project plan, with the help of this baseline, now we can compare all the tasks as well. So click on compare all tasks. Now it will add these columns: baseline start, baseline finish, and finish variance. Right now the values are being loaded. Once it's loaded, then it will start displaying the values that was captured when the baseline was created. This might take a few seconds. Here, once this data is loaded, we can see the finish variance as well. Let's click on hide baseline. We've also added another functionality wherein for a given task, now the effort remaining can be updated directly on the Grid tab. So rather than going to a different tab, users or the project managers have the ability to update this data right here. Let's also talk about some of the P3 features that we have added related to scheduling. So we can click on timeline, and here we can add dependency between the tasks. So say for example, if the rebranding cannot be started until the refurbishing services have been completed, we can just click on this, click add dependency, and then select either the parent task or one of the child tasks that exists in the project plan. Click on this, and then we can select one of the dependency types, which is either finish to start, finish to finish, start to start, start to finish, and then also add the delay type as well. So in this case, let's select finish to start, and it can select by 1 day. You can click add and click close, and the timeline will be updated accordingly. Let's also talk about another feature that we have added on the assignments grid as well. We have always supported the group by resource and group by task as well. Now on this grid, we have added this outline number functionality, which comes in handy when we are looking at it from a task perspective. Clicking on group by task, now this view or this form is sorted by outline number, which means the tasks are displayed in the same order as the WBS. We also support multiple frequencies here, so daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. So user does have ability to look at the assignments on weekly basis. And now we have added these three numbers as well, so 7, 14, and 21, which allow user to view a weekly snapshot of 7 weeks or 14 weeks or 21 weeks. So here we can click on 7, and now it would only display the data for 7 weeks, or we can click on monthly, and now we can look at 7 months. So from April onwards until 9/1/2026. Let's get into details on task details pane functionality available within project work breakdown structure. This has been recently added and allows customer much more flexibility in managing their work breakdown structure. Let's do this with a quick overview in the system.
Let's talk about the feature Custom Task Detail pane. Prior to this feature, if a project manager wanted to see details about a task, either they would add different columns on the task grid and bring the information on the task grid and see it there, or they would open up Task Detail pane on the right hand side and see all the information available here. The drawback of this side pane is that it is not at all customizable. If you want to bring in your own custom columns, if you want to run an action through this task pane, that is not possible. The only thing that was possible was if you hit view details button on this pane, it would open up a main task form on a different browser tab and show you all the details of that particular task. And if there is any customization needed, this task form can be customized and would be brought in here, but it would take the project manager out of context of the task grid, which is here. To solve this particular problem and keep the project manager within the context of task grid, we have introduced this feature called Customize Task Details pane. When this feature is enabled through feature control, we now get two options here, open details and details project operations. Open details would still open the side pane on the task grid itself, which is not customizable but quick to edit, while hitting details project operations would open up a side pane which loads the main task form here, which can be completely customized, like adding a tab here called custom columns and list down all your custom columns that you have in your project task entity without even thinking about whether task grid supports that custom column or not. Or if you want to run an action through the main task form, you can do it right on this grid. And once this is enabled, your I button also works as the new custom task detail pane, and it would open up the detail pane for another task. That's how custom task detail pane works within project operations and solves the problem of moving out of context on the task grid, going to another tab and see your customization and run your actions. Now you can do it right on the task grid context itself.
Next, we'll talk about what if analysis. And this is a quick overview of how it looks like within project operations. Let's do a quick walkthrough of what if analysis in Dynamics 365 project operations. It's a capability designed to improve how project codes are built and evaluated, aim to win more profitable deals. During the coding process, team often need to access multiple options around staffing, rules, timelines, and pricing to balance the customer expectation with business profitability. What if analysis allows sales and project team to quickly model different approaches and understand the financial impact on the key KPIs such as revenue, cost, and margin before it is applied to the code. This helps teams make more informed and data-driven decisions earlier in the life cycle. Let's see how this feature works. Here I'm on project quotation page. The estimates are entered for these quotations. Let me navigate to the what if analysis tab. Here we can see that multiple scenarios have been created. So here we have created two different scenarios. One is increased gross margin, second one is optimized profit. Let's go ahead and look at the details. This displays the current gross margin, right? The extended amount, the total cost, and the budget variance as well. And below, we can see that the data is being displayed, and right now it's grouped by resourcing unit. So here, this section controls how this data in this grid needs to be displayed. We can click on X, and then this will just display it for role, resourcing unit, bookable resources, and so on. If you need to group it or combine it by resourcing unit, we can just drag and drop here. If you want to do it then by role, then we can also drag and drop here and so on. We'll remove the role here. If you need to add the columns, we can click on columns, and here are some of the columns that can be added on this specific grid. Right? Here we can determine how the changes in either the quantity that's going to be consumed on this project or the proposed sales price would impact our profitability. If you want to change the numbers, so here either we can change the total hours, right, or we can change the percentage. We can also run this slide, and that would help change the numbers as well, or we can just type it in, right? And just by sliding these bars, we can see what the impact on the profitability is. So let's say for Fabricam UK, we are increasing the hours. For Fabricam US, we are decreasing the hours. How does that impact? If we reduce the hours, right, here we can see our gross margin decreases. So we can add more resources from Fabricam France. If you want to drill down, then we can click on these and look at the details. Here we can see all the roles, the resourcing unit, as well as the bookable resources, right? That it shows the number of hours that are required for these roles. And here we can directly edit however many hours are required. So let's say for consulting lead, in this case, we need 80 hours, and it will automatically change the gross margin, the extended amount, cost, and budget variance as well. We can also change the proposed sales price as well. So either we can do this slider, and that would increase this prices by the same percentage, or we can add it. So let's say in this case the price is 500. If we increase it to 600, what our profitability is going to be, right? Similarly, we can do the slider as well, and then it would automatically update all the prices with that percentage. Or I can just put in that we want all prices to go up by 500, and then it will automatically give us, our extended amount and so on. Right? Here, depending upon how we want to use these options, so we can either adjust by proposed quantity or proposed sales price. So if your organization just want to manipulate the number of hours, then we can remove the proposed sales price and just play with the proposed quantity as well. Once all these changes are completed and we are good with the scenario, we can just click on apply to quote, and all the changes will directly be applied to the quote. Before applying the quote, if you want to look at what would the impact, then we can click on view line details, and it would display the quote line details and the changes as well. Now when we apply to quote, not only it apply to the changes, it also, if you are modifying the sales price, then it will automatically create the price overrides as well. So if we go back here, we can click on pricing, we can click on US bill rates, role prices. Here we can see that there are some overrides that already exist, And this is our quote marketing services, and we can see depending upon how we have increased that it have automatically created an override for that specific code. Let's go back and go to what if analysis tab. Right? If we have created multiple scenarios, then we can also do or review a quick quick difference between the two. So here we can see here scenario is increased gross margin, and we are looking at this scenario is optimize profit, and we can see how the gross margin in one scenario is 45 and another scenario is 50.38. It also gives us the extended amount, the total cost, as well as the gross margin as well. This, at a very high level, concludes the what if analysis. Next, we want to discuss another feature that we've released, and that is refund retainers. Project operations now enables user to refund retainers associated with project contracts. Users can mark retainers as ready for refund, generate refund invoices, track refund status, and cancel refund requests prior to posting. Refund ready retainers are automatically included in refund invoices, helping streamline the return process and improve financial accuracy when managing customer advances. Let's review the functionality with a quick demonstration. So here I'm in project operations, and let's look at the project contract as a starting point. So here I have created one contract, and I have already posted a retainer. I have already posted some time against it and applied the retainer to the invoice as well. To review the details, let's go to the invoices. So here we can see this is the retainer invoice that we have already posted for $1,000. If you look at the other invoice, which is this, here we have billed some time, which is for $600, and applied the retainer as well. So the balance on this retainer is $400. Let's go back to the contract. So here, when we go to advances and retainers, here we can see all the retainers. In this specific case, we can see that the invoice status for this retainer is customer invoice posted, available amount is $400, and use amount is $600. Now, in order to refund this, we can highlight the retainer amount, which where there is available amount, and click on refund. And now we have added refunded amount, refund status, columns, etc. So here we can see now the status is ready for refund, which means now we can just go ahead, create an invoice, and just refund the $400. If at any point of time we want to cancel this refund before the invoice has been processed, we can just click on cancel refund. Now let's go ahead and process the refund. So I've selected the line again and click on refund. Now this is ready for refund. Let's click on create invoice. What it would do is it would generate an invoice. And here we can see that the total amount is $400. And this is the retainer. This is ready for refund. And we can just click on confirm invoice. This would generate a credit note and $400 will be refunded. Let's go back to the project contract and see what happens on the advances and retainers. So here we can see now the available amount is set to 0 and the refund status is now refunded. This concludes the refund. Next, we want to talk about another feature, which is again related to user UX improvements on subcontracting. Now we have added a new hierarchy view in the subcontracting list page, enabling easier navigation across related subcontract data. This view presents subcontracts, their associated subcontract lines, and the linked project in a clear hierarchical structure. making it simpler to understand relationship and move between related records. This enhancement is available behind the feature flag. Enable subcontracting US enhancements for smoother navigation and insights. Let's review the functionality with a quick demonstration. Let's look at the subcontracting enhancements. So here under projects, I'm looking at my subcontracts. I can look at my subcontracts and then can get into details and can look at subcontract lines. But then we have to look at these details one by one, plus we don't have any insights, etc. So with this new feature, which is subcontracting UX improvements, let's see how this form changes. So to do that, let's go to the project parameters, and under feature control, let's enable this feature, enable new subcontracting UX enhancements for improved insights and smoother navigation. Click enable. Let's go back to projects, subcontracts. Now, one thing that we have added here is this hierarchy view. This button is only available on the main subcontract. So if you click and are looking at a particular subcontract, then this hierarchy view is not there. So click on hierarchy view. And here, now we can see all the subcontracts. We can expand this one specifically. And here, now we are looking at subcontract. Now we are looking at subcontract line. And if you want to look at what project this is specific to, now we can do that as well. Let's go back here. What we have also done is added more insights as well. Right? So for this specific subcontract, we can see here that the total logged amount is 1320 and the total subcontract amount is 312,000. Right? We can also get good synapses or good insights on total number of hours logged, total expense cost, total material cost, and we have also included some graphs that can help subcontract line consumption understanding, vendor invoicing, if there are any invoices that have already been raised. So in this case, we can see that we have not raised any invoices. One invoice is in review, and the total invoice amount is going to be 21,320. That concludes the subcontractor UX improvements feature. We have a lot of other features that we've released in Dynamics 365 project operations around invoicing, especially Billing Hub, modern invoice form, importing beginning balances, investment projects, project revenue recognition using the cost estimate instead of estimate cost at completion, project revenue recognition based upon total forecast. We plan on covering these additional features in a separate talk given the time constraint. Here are a couple of resources that you can use. Please take a look and share your feedback on how these features are, how these features work for your customers. Most of the features that we have presented today have already, or all the features that we have shown today have already been released. Some of the features are being released. So right now there is a release train that's currently in early stations, and other customers should be getting those features in their environment shortly as well. Do make sure that you look at feature flags in the parameters to enable some of these features. With that, thank you so much for your time today, and we look forward to your participation in another Tech Talk and provide you more details on other features.